The Dane and Derek Show is an uncensored, unfiltered podcast. Content warnings can be found in the episode description. Alrighty. Hello, and welcome to the Dane and Derek Show, a podcast where two nerdy friends keep in touch and shoot the shit. I'm Benig-Aiello, a writer, director, and very frequent D&D player. With me, as always, is my buddy, Dane Fogdahl.
Hey, I'm Dane. I am a writer, musician, podcaster, and, I play a lot of tabletop RPGs. I might go out on a limb here and say I'm a fan.
A fan.
A fan.
A fan of tabletop RPGs, huh?
Maybe. Hard to say for sure, but maybe. It's possible. I know. Learning new things.
Well, Dane, what's the last song you listened to before we started recording? What is the song that is currently on pause in whatever music device you're listening to?
Let me pull up Spotify. Let me do it. It is Fire and Brimstone by Trombone Shorty.
Wow. Fire and Brimstone by Trombone Shorty.
Kick-ass song. Kick-ass artist. What about you?
I have been listening to a lot of angsty music. So
Angsty music?
Yeah,
Define angsty.
just a lot of music with feelings, thoughts, anger, insecurity. And I've got the song Stuntman featuring Priska by Dan, aka Dan, which is very much out of my taste. Normally, I don't listen to a lot of hip hop and rap. Listen to a lot of like rock and stuff, as we'll talk about later in this episode when we talk about our top 5 bands that we've been currently vibing with.
Here's the caveat we got to give.
Okay.
These are not necessarily our favorite bands. These are not necessarily the 5 best bands we think exist, period. These are just what we're listening to right now.
Sounds good. I can agree to those terms.
All right, these are the terms. Them's the terms. Okay. So, first band I have been listening to just a ton of, just so much, is a band called The Altogether. It's just kind of a soft rock singer-songwriter sort of thing. But here's the twist. I don't know if you know who this is, but do you know Brian David Gilbert?
Yeah.
It's his band.
Oh, I was like, I've heard that before.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. It's not a joke band. It's just kind of good, and I really like it. And I'm kind of mad and jealous about it because he's so funny, and he's also a good musician, and that's not fair. And I'm upset and a little jealous.
Did you watch his hair video?
I have not watched his hair video.
His glorious mane.
I mostly watched his stuff on Polygon, his deconstructed.
Unraveled?
Oh, or no, yeah, Unraveled.
Nice.
And I really, really liked them, and I'm really sad he doesn't do them anymore. So I was just like looking for more stuff he did, and I ran into his band, and I was like, oh, I'm sure this is hilarious. And I was like, this isn't funny. This isn't funny at all. This is just nice and good, and I really like the song Sophie. Anyways,
I'll have to give it a listen.
Totally should. Absolutely should. All right.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's see. So I recently discovered this band called Lucy, 2. They're a Japanese alt-rock band. And it's just like some really solid rock and roll with a nice like upbeat pop feel. That's my first band. What's your second band?
Okay, second band. It's technically an artist, but she uses kind of like a pen name sort of situation. Valerie, and that's Val, Eree, and she has an EP that's not that old. It is, yeah, it's from this year, 2021. And it's just a 5-song EP, and I fucking love it. Like, I have listened to this whole EP like on repeat. Like for an hour, I just let these like 5 songs roll over and over and over again. She's kind of like neo R&B, kind of soul adjacent, but modern. It's a little hard to explain, but I just kind of adore her. She's just rad.
Yeah. So my second band is The Score.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's such a good choice. I like The Score a lot. Not as much as my partner Gracie does.
Yeah, I think you told that story on the pod about that concert you went to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
she took me to a live concert of theirs, and they were rad.
Their music's in a lot of like AMVs for like superhero anime. um
Oh, I believe it.
and in preparation for the superhero game that I run with some friends, I was like watching a lot of AMVs to kind of get like hyped up before each session, and I discovered the score through that. And their album Atlas, the deluxe version, is a great album just to have on loop.
Mm-hmm. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 on that.
It's very fun. Like they're all very much like, yeah, these are good like the party's going to enter battle, or this is the end credits tune, or like this is the theme song for our anime intro. Like very 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 good kind of music for that. It gets your blood running.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think standout tracks for me are Rush. That's probably my favorite. And then Never Going Back, Higher, and Unstoppable. And also the stripped down versions on Atlas are incredible. I really like those a lot too.
Yep.
So that is my second band. What's your third?
Okay. You're not going to be surprised by this at all. Iron and Wine.
Ooh, still. Wow, you're still
Classic.
vibing to Iron and Wine?
I have been vibing to Iron and Wine since the moment I heard them back in high school. Just, I cannot stop. It's just in my heart and soul forever. I could also kind of say the same thing about like Guster and Jack Johnson. So actually probably I'll just kind of like, I'm going to use this slot to just throw down the music that I always listen to. And I'm actually going to kick Jack Johnson out of that just because that's just like summertime fun, guilty pleasure music. But like Iron and Wine, Bright Eyes, Broken Bells, and Guster are just like, they seeped into my soul at some point, and now I bleed that music, and so like it just doesn't stop. So on that level, same old, same old.
Nice. Did you catch Jack Johnson's new single?
No, because it is not quite warm enough yet. He is springtime, summertime, and early fall time music only.
Oh, okay.
I cannot listen to him once it's like cold. It just throws me the fuck off.
Well, when you do, let me know, because I like his new single.
Okay. Noted.
My third band, it's a tie between the Y-Axis and Joye Manor. Joye Manor and the Y-Axis are tied for third.
I love the Y-Axis.
I know, and you recommended them to me
so much. Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
they're so nice.
Yeah, and I know that like you mentioned that you had talked to them about like at least one of them about like tabletop RPGs.
Yeah, the bass player. I believe he's the bass player. The bass player has a tabletop RPG podcast miniseries that I can't remember the title of right now, and I'm sorry. And he reached out to me to be like, "Do you have any advice?" And I was like, "I'm such a small time guy. I can give you some, but like, so, but then I kind of like followed. Like I was like, okay, what's your band? And then like dove in. I was like, oh, this is so fucking cool. One of their songs was the like anthem for 11 Jump Gates, or at least the parts with Lady Blackbird for me.
Ooh, which song?
Empty Space.
Let me see
if I can pull up the lyrics for it real quick.
It is one of my liked songs off their album No Waves from 2019. Mm-hmm. That whole album, pretty much every track is a hit, and it is such a great listen. My favorite track in particular, however, is Parts Unknown.
Yeah, that one's good.
I cannot get over that drum beat, and it's just so like it like checks a couple boxes for like aesthetically pleasing music to my ears.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, just in this song, the chorus, and flee. It says like, and flee the scene to taste the metal in your teeth. You're scared you're part of a machine, but you're part of everything to me. Basically like that just like really spoke to me about like, in 11 Jump Gates, one of the characters, she's a synthetic person, an android. And so she's genuinely afraid she's not really a person, and the main character basically in that storyline, she's like, no, you're a real person and I love you and you're my whole world. And so that little line, I was like, oh, this is the whole fucking thing. This is the whole fucking show. So it's just really exciting. I'm glad you liked them.
Yeah. And the other band, Joyce Manor, or Manor, I think it's Manor. They're a local band. They're from Torrance, California. And they did an album called Cody. That's just kind of like about like being in your 20s and really just being like feeling inadequate. But they kind of just
enough.
like make a good joke out of it and have a good time with it, and kind of there's a particular song called Stairs that's like about falling up and down stairs and stuff, and it's like I think it starts with like how am I supposed to go downstairs when I can't even like do my own laundry. And it's just really, it's such a mood. And someone recommended it to me, and it was one of those bands that like I was playing it at work, and everyone that like came up to the door to ask for something like recognized the band, and I got to know a couple people because of it. So it's like one of those weird bands where I associate that's not weird, I guess I associate like the band with like meeting friends, and that's a cool feeling. I don't think I've really experienced that kind of like camaraderie with music very often. I usually listen to old bands from the 2000s that, like Fall Out Boy or something. I don't know. I don't really listen to too much Fall Out Boy anymore, but I don't really listen to, I guess I don't listen to a lot of music in the ways that I think most people listen to music. That's primarily because I have a hard time hearing lyrics. I mostly just hear the rhythm guitar.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's like only recently I've managed to pick up on lyrics, which is why I've been able to enjoy like a lot more hip hop and R&B and bands like AJR and stuff like that.
That's so interesting because lyrics are like the crux of it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's just like if the instrumentation is like out of this world, then yeah, I love it. But cool. What's your number 4?
Okay, number 4, and I promise I won't cheat anymore, squeezing more into a single space. I think it's Jukebox The Ghost.
Ooh.
Yeah, just kind of indie rock, good time. Really like them.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Yep. All right. I don't have much more to say. It's like it's Jukebox The Ghost. It's rad. You're up.
Yeah. No. God darn it! I'm gonna have to cheat on this one too. I think maybe.
Okay, then I'm gonna get a final cheat in the end.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to because, well, okay, if we're strictly talking bands, then I don't have to cheat. So I've been listening to this band called Kitten. If you've heard of them, they're a trio now, I think. It's very much like pop indie alt rock, and it's just very like, it's one of those bands where like I think like the lyrics and the kind of like blending of the music and the mixing like really really gets to me, and I don't really know how much of the like lyrics I'm really like hearing, but they've got a really interesting like sound.
Yeah.
And I've been really enjoying them. So yeah, what's your number 5?
Okay. Well, okay, am I allowed to cheat or no?
You can cheat.
Okay, I'm gonna cheat. Okay, so last 2 squeezed into one is the band Ripe and the band The Ballroom Thieves. Ripe is just new age funk. Like that's just what they are. They're so kick-ass. Their song Downward and Tom Rose, both of those songs are so good, and they just make my heart sing. So joyful. Just love it so much. The Ballroom Thieves are roots. I think I would just call them roots. They kind of oscillate between like folk and a little bit of bluegrass and a little bit of country, but mostly folk. It's very confusing, and there's like a little bit of roots. Um, and they write some of the most beautiful lyrics and are so poignant with their additions to the music, like the combination of it.
Mm.
And so I would recommend both of those, and I can't stop listening to either.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I will cheat on this one to give some honorable mentions that did not make the cut, but
Hell
I'm
yeah.
definitely in a top 10. And they would be Travis Atreo, pop artist. It was in the band New Heights. Wrote the song Peaches, if you know that. He just put out an EP. Julian Baker. She's like an incredible guitarist. Writes a lot of like feels music, a lot of sad songs.
Mm-hmm.
They're my go-to sad artist. And Jay Som, they're like an indie San Francisco or maybe LA artist, and they do a lot of like indie rock, and they have this great song called The Bus Song that is just about like wanting to take the bus, and it's just like such like tired 20s vibes that, and I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
But the band that I think I've listened to the most in like the last, I guess, like 2-3 years
Mm-hmm.
is the Rocket Summer, which is technically just one guy, but yeah, the Rocket Summer.
That's awesome. What's their or his deal?
His deal is he plays everything, records everything, and it's like pop rock, like indie pop rock, and it's just a lot of like, I don't know, it's like a very like upbeat, quirky kind of sound. Like he's got a song about it's like all the songs are like pretty positive. There's like not really anything too like sad. But there's this one song about it's called Florida, California, and it's about like I think it's a breakup song, and it's just about like being a hurricane and being an earthquake, and it's just like out of all the songs like that are usually very positive, like 200,000 miles is about like driving 200,000 miles to give someone a coffee. Besides
I see why that vibes with you though.
Yes, exactly. And there's like another, there's so many like just positive songs, but besides that, it's just a very hard hitting song, and it's just got a nice tone. Like once again, like I have a really hard time hearing lyrics, so whenever I hear something that's like really mixed well, and the instruments strike a really good hit a good chord, there's a key change that I like. That is what I think really gets me about music, and he does a lot of that, and a lot of the music I listen to is really driven by sort of the like what's written and the instruments that are being used. Yeah. Is that it? Did we just go through our top 5 bands we're vibing with right now?
I think we did. I think we just like went through it like just like goddamn, like just like a goddamn train wreck. To be fair, we're doing pretty good on time. We're not at
the end, but no. we're not like too bad for it. So I mean, I guess we can just kind of talk about music, because like, right. I don't know. I've listened to a lot more music in the last year than I have in a long. Like I've discovered a lot more new music in the last year than I have in a very long time.
So I have a question for you. You were saying that like you don't feel like you listen to music like most people do. What exactly? Could you like elaborate on that more? Like, what do you kind of mean by that? Like, do you just like you're listening? What are you listening for? Or like, what's your like practice of listening to music that you don't feel is like widely shared?
Yeah, so I don't listen to albums. I listen to individual songs very pretty much, and then I'll usually loop the song for hours on end. And when I'm listening to music, I'm not paying attention to lyrics. I'm completely paying attention to, unless the lyrics stick out and they resonate with me, I'm not really listening for that. I listen to just like, what's the guitar doing? How many changes are there? And how are they mixing this? What other sounds am I hearing in this mix? It's like a very like, I enjoy listening to like how things like sound. Like something that I've really come to appreciate about like electronic music and like modern pop music compared to like 80s rock and roll is that the spectrum of sounds that fill in all these layers that like you can feel based on different sound systems you listen to, and like you can feel on like a very like internal level is what really gets me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I think that is not really appreciated enough about like the tools we have, is that like you can mix so many layers to your music to fill out this entire range of frequencies, and it can make a song feel so much more full. And like, you know, not to diss on like 80s music, but
Mm-hmm.
like they were limited by what they could record at the time, you
True.
know? And I think that a lot of those artists, like they were peak performance of that. But nowadays it's like you can have an infinite number of layers, but there's only so many frequencies you can really like use. Like I got really into listening to like Kendrick Lamar and like and Logic, and like watching them like break down and mix their music. I got really into like Lil Dicky like during the beginning of last year, and it was like just because like that, like how music is crafted in that way is very interesting. And that's, I think, what I find the most interesting about music is when it's crafted very differently. It's kind of why I've been straying away from pop punk in a lot of ways, because a lot of it sounds the same to me. Like I can't really differentiate between a lot of the bands anymore, as much as that is a bummer. It's also why I listen to very select like pop punk bands, because
Mm-hmm.
I listen to ones that stick out a little bit more, that have a little bit more of an off kilter sound. But like, yeah, like I can't really tell the difference between like State Champs and like Mayday Parade anymore, or like Knuckle Puck, and it's a real shame because I
Mayday
love all those bands.
Parade. Whoa, haven't thought about them in ages.
Yeah, I know that was a throwback, right?
It was a throwback. No, I get that. I totally get that. It's interesting because like I'll listen to straight albums a lot. Sometimes I'll find just individual songs that I really really love. I tend to get on like genre kicks more than anything, or like where I'll just be like, I'm just listening to modern funk and soul right now. I just am, and if it's anything else, I can't handle it, you know.
Yeah,
Or I'll get into like a few songs because they're kind of like hitting something for me, so I'll play those over and over again. But I have like hundreds of playlists because like I just want few set of songs to be like linked together for a little while.
same.
How do you feel about albums? Because on the one hand, it's just not really how music works anymore in a sense. And on the other hand, I do think that an album that's actually like coherent and fits together is a genuinely beautiful thing. And I wish more artists would do that.
Yeah, so that's a big reason why I like Lucy Two's album Lucky, because the
Mm-hmm.
album, the music all flows together nicely, and it becomes like one long song. It's also why I still love Mariana's Trench, because they continue to create like
Is that
really incredible
the band that
sounds.
has the song Killing Kind?
Yeah,
Yeah, see,
yeah.
that's the only song from them I like.
So all their albums are anthologies, so they're all interconnected, and they have a narrative component to like the story of what they're telling.
Huh.
And I think like it takes a little bit, but like once you like listen to an entirety like of an album, it's really hard to not listen to their music in the context of that album. Like their latest album, I think it's their latest album, Phantoms. It's like very much like Edgar Allan Poe inspired and like Victorian era gothic horror inspired. And so there's a lot of like narratives throughout that pull from that, and the sort of sounds and the way that they transition between songs kind of go with that, and I really like it. I think Mariana's Trench is a real staple. So
That's awesome. Maybe I should
yeah,
give them another go. I really was
yeah.
just like I really liked Killing Kind, and then I was like, should I? I should give them like I should listen to another song, but like no other song individually have I found that like really is just like doing it for me. So I was just like maybe I just like because some artists like you just like hit one song and it's like this is awesome, and like the rest of it you're like eh, you know.
Oh yeah, The Killing Kind is the end of Phantoms. You should start with Eleonora, which is the first track. It's one of my favorites.
Sounds like I should be listening to the whole album straight through.
Yes, but also Eleanor is 1 minute. So if there's one song that you should listen to off that album, Eleonora,
All right.
because yeah, I think it'll make Killing Kind make a lot more sense.
Hey, fair enough.
But yeah, I also like to make playlists. It's a kind of a weird thing I've noticed, but like people go back and forth on whether or not like when you're creating art, you should make a playlist to get you in the mood to create said art, because you know using art to keep you in the mood can influence you in ways that you didn't expect. But I like to do it because it helps me sort of like reminds me of what I'm trying to go for feeling wise. And so I have a lot of like playlists for like each of the scripts I'm writing that just have a curated number of songs from the various artists that we've talked about, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I do that for basically everything. Here's what I'll say. Sometimes like I often have to turn said playlist off. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, this is like totally the vibe. This is the mood. And I have to turn it off because like I'll listen to the lyrics and I'll be like trying to write, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I can't do both sets of words at the same time. But
fair.
I super disagree with that feeling of like, if you listen to the playlist, it might inspire. Like, fucking all art is inspired by everything you've ever seen and done and
Exactly.
experienced. Like, what? What does that even mean? Like, to me, I'm just like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Like, your voice is unique because of the experiences and the other pieces that you've taken in your life, right? Like, what? Like, what do you?
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous, and maybe that's a little flippant of me, but I'm just like, like, come on. Like, sometimes I get upset with people who are like all about like the purity and newness of ideas, and I'm just like, you're sucking all the fun out of this. I just wanted to make a damn playlist that inspired me. Yeah, then
Yeah.
get off my back.
And plus, like, there's no such thing as being original.
No, well, I don't think so. Like, I don't think like there's no such thing as like art that hasn't been inspired by something
Yeah.
else you've experienced. There's no such thing as, you know, I don't think there's like no such thing as a new idea because your experience is just truly unique. And so it is just going to be a little different. But I actually think that's one of the most inspiring things. I don't know about you, like, but the idea that we're all kind of writing the same story and singing the same song and like it's all just like collectively us trying to understand our lives and ourselves and connect to one another, and that
Yeah.
there's all these overlaps feels beautiful to me. Like, it feels like we're just one giant chorus singing together, and the idea that sucks for some reason just makes me sad. Like, I'm just like, oh, so you don't want to join in? You don't want to sing the song with us? Okay. Well, you're going to
Yeah.
sing anyway. Sorry. Like, you know,
Uh-huh.
I find it inspiring, not like a sad thing that there are no new
Yeah.
ideas.
I think that's about it, and that's a good a note as any to end on. Thanks for suggesting this topic, Dane.
Hell yeah, this one was fun. This one was
Yeah.
fun. I, I think we should maybe do, I think maybe we should do like a bracket thing where it's like you and I pick like the like collectively before we even sit down. You know what? Let's end the episode and then I'm going to pitch you this next thing.
Sounds
I'm
good.
sorry.
Alrighty. And that's it for this week, folks. You can see what movies I'm watching on Letterboxd at Benig-Aiello. Dane, where can we find you and your work?
You can find me on Twitter at Dane_Fogdoll, and you can listen to my show Diceology, which is spelled like the science of dice, on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify.
Alrighty, thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time.
Catch you later.